For you, it might be in reverse. If you're YouTube first and you think YouTube first, what if you started a show? What if you started a video podcast? And I'm not asking you to rush into this. I'm asking you to make a game plan. I'm asking you to calculate it. How much time would I need to carve out? What could I do? What would my system be? How would I pull that off?
What are the strategies that are working on YouTube right now? What's changed on the YouTube platform, and how can you apply these changes to grow your views and your subscribers on YouTube? Well, in this episode, we're going to be diving into that and so much more. And I want to welcome you to the Think Media podcast. My name is Heather Torres, the host of this podcast, and we're here to help you grow your influence on YouTube and then use that influence to grow a high impact and a high profit YouTube channel. And I am getting so excited because we are getting so close to our annual conference, Grow with Video Live. It's happening in August of 2021. So you might be listening to this episode in a few weeks or a few days before the conference. And I want to encourage you to grab your tickets. They're going fast. This is a virtual conference you can you can attend from anywhere in the world. I'll tell you more about that after today's episode, but let's get into what's working on YouTube right now and a little bit of a taste of what we're going to be teaching at this year's conference.
Our passion here at the Think Media podcast is to always be in the trenches, like YouTube scientists, like guinea pigs, testing, trying things, testing theories, posting videos, doing experiments, and then passing along the things that are working for us to you. We try to do that on this podcast, in our videos, and that's also the deeper purpose of our courses and our events, is to really pass along tested, not just hypothesis and theses, but things that have actually been tested on our channels and on our students' channels, and sharing those with you. And I've got 7 things that we've been up to. There's really kind of a playbook of probably about 10 things we've been up to over the last year, but we're going to touch on a couple of those. And these are actually going to be some of the topics we're going a lot deeper on at our upcoming virtual event called Grow with Video Live. But I wanted to just give you some of the things that we're paying attention to. And the first one is YouTube Shorts. Have you started posting YouTube Shorts yet? You know, YouTube Shorts is one of the most probably revolutionary updates to the YouTube platform in a long time. Of course, in competition with TikTok and Reels, YouTube wanted to step into the short form content game. And views have grown to over 1 billion views a month rather quickly, which is very significant, rivaling some of those competitor platforms. And so YouTube is taking this very seriously. If you haven't created a YouTube short yet, it's basically just vertical content that's under 60 seconds. And if you update your YouTube app, you should see the ability to actually create a shorts with a shorts creator right there on your mobile app. This allows you to record multiple clips, add them together, put words in there, put music in there. And really, the reason we're paying attention to YouTube Shorts is because, frankly, they're getting a lot of views if you do them right, especially in certain niches. One of our Video Ranking Academy students, Plants and Lucia, has been on the platform for a little over a year. She's doing great, I believe, coming up on 40,000 or more subscribers. And she's put out some great videos, and some of her most viewed videos maybe have 50, 60, 70, 80,000 views. But in a short time, she's had a couple of shorts get 30,000 views, 40,000 views, 50,000 views, and in a very short time. This is the power of shorts. Now, she does plants. She's talking about how to water air plants and different things. And so there's certain niches, whether that's cooking or tutorial or entertainment or definitely deeper DIY type of content. And it's been a very powerful strategy for her that, listen, it leads to awareness. When maybe 60,000 people, 55,000 of which aren't even your subscribers, are discovering you for the first time, this is new subscribers, this is getting your content in front of new people, and it can be a major way to grow. And it's not just for like entertainment or DIY or plant or cooking channels. You know, Chris Doe from the future does education really for freelancers, videographers, people like that. And he's had some shorts. His top viewed video on his channel is a YouTube short. So it's definitely something I want to encourage you to experiment with. And I can't wait to dive into deeper strategies at our upcoming event related to YouTube shorts that we've been testing on our channel and some of the case studies from our students. The second one is just money-making strategies. I would assume that you're here on this podcast because you either want to make a part-time or full-time income with YouTube, or you want to get additional revenue in your business, driving more leads, driving more sales, or creating additional income streams. I kind of think about Roger Wakefield, and we've had him on some of our events and some of our challenges, sharing his story. We've been able to influence some of his success. He's been able to just crush it in the plumbing niche, and he had $1 million plumbing business. But now that he's doing YouTube, he's getting brand deals to the tune of 6 figures. That's additional revenue from plumbing brands that want to sponsor his content. He's getting a lot of ad revenue because the views are going up. When he goes live, he can get super chat revenue and different things. And so there's always ways to innovate your money-making strategies. And this is going to be one of the deepest topics that we're talking about at Grow with Video Live. And a couple ideas for you, though, is long-form content. Why? Because in long-form content, you can add multiple ad spots. Now, you might be uncomfortable. Maybe you didn't know you could do that. But once your channel's monetized, you can go in and you can have what's called mid-rolls, not just like a skippable ad at the beginning, but there could be skippable ads in the middle. And for really long videos, there could be multiple ad spots. Now, there's different opinions on this, and you can always do what you want. But what's interesting is I've just kind of learned that, man, it's maybe 1% of people or less that are like, oh, that was kind of annoying, or, I don't really want to interrupt people's day. Listen, you need money for the mission. I don't know about you, but I pay for Hulu, and I watch shows on Hulu, and I'm still getting ads. I pay not to see ads, and yet I still get ads on Hulu. I haven't quite decoded the matrix here, but they're just still there, and I'm like, I guess this is how things are, and at the end of the day, I'm over it. After the first ad, I'm like, this is sort of annoying, and then I'm like, I guess we're back to traditional TV, or what? Because the way content is monetized in its rawest form is with ad spots. And if you're putting out great content, I think about one of Heather Torres's videos on how to make a video with your smartphone. It's 45 minutes. She talks about how to shoot a video, how to make a thumbnail, how to edit the video, and then how to upload it all from your phone. And so in those segments, in between those segments are ad spots. It's kind of a natural break. So this one video has generated thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars by having multiple ad spots on long form content. We're going to talk more about that, but also secondly under this is higher CPM topics. You're probably not going to drift from your main channel topic if your niche is, or topic of your channel is, something specific, crafts, DIY, sewing, but there are higher CPM niches, usually personal finance, real estate, e-commerce, software as a service. But I think about my friend Ryan Pineda, who talks a lot about real estate. That's a pretty high CPM. Talks about Turo supercars, and that's an app where you can rent supercars. He talks about these different things. But he talked about Amazon e-commerce stores in just a couple of videos, and I was just hanging at his office. We were looking at the CPMs on his videos. The CPM was over $100 on those episodes where he talked about drop shipping in Amazon e-commerce stores. The typical CPM, which is the amount of money you earn for 1,000 monetized views on YouTube, is $2 to $5. When he was talking about the Amazon e-commerce stuff, over $100 CPMs. When you have this kind of knowledge, you're able to make some videos that could be related to your niche that are potentially in related to higher CPM topics that can really scale your YouTube ad revenue. So that's kind of a newer money-making strategy to be thinking about. Of course, if you start a live show, there's super chat and super stickers, channel memberships. Ben from Keto Camp, or our friend Emily Baker, has channel memberships with people subscribing for exclusive content on their channel. And then there's all kinds of off-platform strategies, and there's new places like Buy Me a Coffee and Ko-fi and different places where you can, kind of like Patreon, find ways to monetize your audience in creative ways so you have money for the mission so you can continue to serve people. And so those are some things to consider, some new YouTube features, some things you can't ignore in relation to making money. But number 3, start a live show. I think one of the best things you could do over this next year is start a live show. Now, it might scare you. If you're not comfortable yet, don't worry about it, but maybe make it an ambition that in the next 2 months, you start getting ready, you start practicing. In the next 6 months, you start a live show. During the pandemic, right in the heart of 2020, everybody was locked down. I think media, all of our travel got canceled. we were worried because we had a really hard month going into the pandemic where we were negative $30,000 on our P&L. And so one of our things that we did during that season was we did not shrink and go back on defense. We leaned in and we went on offense. And we thought, man, we got to keep connecting with people. We got to keep encouraging people. We got to keep teaching. We just got to lean in. And we started 2 live shows. And those 2 live shows happen we actually started 3 live shows. We started a monthly Think Media Q&A episode or training episode. And Omar does that predominantly right now on our Think Media channel. But we also started the Coffee with Cannell show, which if you've ever seen it, you might think like, this is a thing. It started during a really hard season. It started when we wanted to give up and shrink back, but we leaned in. And Heather started the YouTube Made Simple show. And those shows stream predominantly on our Think Media Podcast YouTube channel. But they have been an incredible blessing because they've kept us connecting with people. They've kept us putting something on the calendar that'll stretch us and challenge us. They've kept us leaning in to sharpen our skills and learn more so we can share more. They've kept us focusing more on our performance than our applause. They've kept us really leaning in. And this goes to tip number 4. They've also helped us repurpose content. Because what we do is we're able to go do a live show. And by the way, this is really basic. We don't have any logos yet. We've been doing this thing over a year. We don't have any theme music. Like, it's just called the Coffee with Cannell show. Like, I'm like, hey, welcome to the show. Like, I don't, there's no jingle. There's no graphics. By this time, there probably should be. And we want to evolve into that. But like, starting a show is just like naming it, claiming it, planting your flag and leaning in and doing it. And like, you can evolve it over the years as you go. It's the weekly Q&A show with you. It's the 5 minutes with Marley. It's the, it's the Tip Tuesday. It's just a show. It's a consistent thing that'll keep you consistent, challenge you, and will have you showing up regularly for your audience. But number 4, what we've done is we've realized that when recording for 45 minutes, 90 minutes, sometimes I go 2 hours sometimes. And a lot of times I'll bring on guests and I'll either answer questions using StreamYard, one of our favorite softwares, where we can just put the questions on screen right from the chat. Or we share a link that allows people to join, kind of like a Zoom call. And then we can do Q&A right in the show. Well, that turns out that if that interaction is valuable, there's a 5-minute clip, a 7-minute clip, an 8-minute clip from the live show that gets repurposed. So I can cut that up. I can cut that down. And sometimes we use that on social media, or sometimes we upload that on Think Media. Remember, this is happening on our second channel, but you could even have it happen on your main channel. I was coaching a bigger influencer recently, huge business, but like newer to YouTube. And she was just kind of restreaming to YouTube a lot of 2-hour episodes. And I was like, out of those 2-hour episodes, you need to be posting the 5-minute clip and the 8-minute clip and the 10-minute clip from those that were the highlights, the best moments. Those are additional uploads. You can make them a little stronger because you can trim the fluff. And if you stumbled over your words or whatever and add a little music or do whatever, you just cut that clip out. It's not unlike if you think about Joe Rogan, who's exclusively on Spotify now, but his clip show remains on YouTube. In a day gone by, his full-length episode was on a YouTube channel, and he had the JRE Clips channel. And sometimes those clips would amount to more views than the main episode because there'd be 5 clips from a 3-hour conversation. So number 3, start a show. Number 4, repurpose content. And I can't wait to get into some of our repurposing strategies. And we're going to be going deep on this at Grow with Video Live to talk about the best practices we've learned, the mistakes we've learned. Because when you implement this, man, this can 2x, 3x, 10x your channel in a very, very powerful way. Number 5, premieres. Premieres are cool. If you go into your YouTube analytics, you can see 3 types of videos. Sometimes our analytics look different, but this is what you should see. It'll say how many views your uploads get in the first 24 hours or 7 days, how many views your live streams get, and it'll also say how many views your premieres get. You can also go deeper, and it'll say what is the average view duration of an upload versus a live stream versus a premiere. A premiere is simply an upload that is scheduled ahead of time so that you essentially, like a movie premiere, can do a special red carpet event where hopefully you're there in the chat so you can hype up around it, say I'm going to be answering questions during it. I just want to watch it with you. You can get super chats during premieres. You can get super stickers during premieres, which is a way to monetize. And premieres are ideal for long form content. Like if you upload a longer video, it's a great idea to premiere it And that's another feature that's underutilized by a lot of people. Number 6, content marathons. We won't go into that here, but it's one of the most powerful strategies we've been using, and it's been saving us a lot of time at Think Media. And then number 7 is video podcasting. And as we land the plane, I want to encourage you to consider starting a video podcast. Now, we are anti-overwhelm here at Think Media. We are team focus here at Think Media. So when I release or share all these ideas with you, I'm not insinuating that you need to frantically react and rush hastily into any of these. What I'm actually recommending is that you start to calculate and carve out a game plan for leaning into the best strategies for you over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. We had it in our heart to do a podcast for 2 years before the podcast started. And we wanted to build team and systems or bandwidth and margin before we started it. But even as a solo creator, I think that video podcasting could be one of the best strategies you lean into. The reason why is by video podcasting, you are able to lean into YouTube just like we do with the Think Media podcast. We record the podcast on video. Therefore, we not just can post them on YouTube, but then the audio can go on Spotify and Apple and Android and all the different platforms. And we use a tool that makes it pretty easy called Buzzsprout. And it just we distribute the content across platforms. But then we also, because we have video and audio, we cut up clips from the video podcast. And sometimes those become Instagram TVs. They become Instagram Reels, little moments of them. And sometimes even from the video podcast, that's maybe 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long, 40 minutes long, right? We end up cutting out a clip that actually can become a Think Media video because our Think Media podcast channel is a separate channel, or just a shorter video on the Think Media podcast channel. Remember, leaning into repurposing. What I'm encouraging you to do is think about maximizing your efforts and your impact, doing one thing and using it in multiple ways, creating one piece of content and expanding it across multiple platforms, creating one piece of content and chopping it up and repurposing it, not in a kind of thrown away, haphazard, not add value type of a way. But actually, we found people aren't complaining. They're not like, oh, I saw that in the podcast. I can't believe I saw that other 4-minute. Some people don't even want to watch the 30-minute podcast, but they will click on the 4-minute highlight of the episode you did or the interview you did. And there's so many things you could do with video podcasting. You just need Zoom. My friend Kerry Newhoff, I was on his leadership podcast. And I think he has nearly 100,000 listeners per episode, something crazy. He's helping a lot of leaders. He used to be a pastor. Now he's really still helping faith-based organizations, but just leaders in general. Love his podcast. And he had me on to talk about YouTube, and we were on Zoom together, and he was recording the episode. And he told me, he goes, Sean, I just like having Zoom on because I like seeing the guest. I don't use the video, I just use the audio, but that way there's kind of more interaction as we're talking. And I said, wait a minute, Kerry, so you've recorded video of every single guest you've had, and it's mainly an interview show where he interviews leaders and authors and people teaching leadership, John Maxwell and Simon Sinek and guys like that. And he goes, yeah, Sean, I've got all the Zoom recordings on my computer. So first I had a long, uncomfortable pause. I replied, I said, Kerry, it is irresponsible of you to not post those videos on YouTube. I'm like, even if you don't title them well, put a good thumbnail on them, and there's no strategy there, you're on a mission to serve leaders, right? Yes. As many leaders as possible, right? Yes. And who are the video files reaching on your computer? Nobody. And who could they reach if you post it on YouTube? Somebody. Kerry, you can already do a video podcast. You don't need, but I get it, right? And of course he's a friend, so I'm kind of giving him a hard time, but I'm serious. I'm like, bro, you got to start doing this. Perfectionism holds us back. You might, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, you might be like, dude, what the heck, dude? They got a studio. They got Sony cameras, like the audio's good. There's sound panels in the room. Listen, don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. You can video podcasts with very basic setups, and that's what Kerry Newhoff started to do. And what's crazy is, again, his YouTube, his audio podcast was crushing. YouTube videos, they sometimes get 200 views, 350 views, 450 views. But what's interesting is now we look back and some of those episodes, 5,500 views, 12,500 views. Those could have just been sitting on his computer, but he leaned in to start leveraging YouTube to turn into his podcast, not just into an audio podcast, but into a video podcast. For you, it might be in reverse. If you're YouTube first and you think YouTube first, what if you started a show? What if you started a video podcast? And I'm not asking you to rush into this. I'm asking you to make a game plan. I'm asking you to calculate it. How much time would I need to carve out? What could I do? What would my system be? How would I pull that off? And so YouTube Shorts, new money-making strategies, start a live show, repurpose content, YouTube premieres, content marathons, video podcasting. These are actually just a few of some of the things we've really been leaning into over the last year at Think Media. And I want to invite you, if you haven't got your ticket yet for Grow with Video Live 2021, get registered. growwithvideolive.com. It's a 2-day virtual event, so you don't have to worry about a plane ticket or a hotel room. You can just make some popcorn, hang with the family, get on the couch. And a virtual pass is good for your household. So maybe you want to connect with, maybe you got a virtual assistant, you got a team, someone on your team, someone you want to just, you can get a ticket and then make sure to spend 2 days with us, because we're going to be going deeper into these strategies and other strategies, breaking these down so you can implement strategically. Because, execution is the game. Ideas are a commodity. Having good ideas is one thing. Putting those ideas into practice in an intentional and strategic way is where the real action is. And the entire event, we're going to be sharing case studies. We're going to be sharing practical, real-world examples from every different niche. We're going to be sharing stories of people who are just starting that have had breakout success starting just months ago. People that are just getting into the YouTube game. So this is not out of touch YouTube celebrities and gurus you can't relate with. You're going to be learning from people that are really doing it just like you, so you can get an edge on YouTube. You're going to be learning the best ways to make money and how to really find your path. Because at the end of Grow Video Live, what we want you to leave with is not just clarity, and we need that. We want you to have clarity on what you need to do next, where you are on your journey, and what are the next couple moves for you when it comes to really building a high profit and high impact YouTube business. You're also going to have built up your community. What do I mean? Relationships. We got networking parties on Zoom. We've got breakouts on Zoom. We got stuff happening where you'll have a chance to connect with others, and small group breakout rooms and cool stuff happening where you can connect with other creators and forge relationships even in a virtual world. And then finally, the last thing you're going to leave with is a content game plan. You're going to leave with a game plan so you can implement the right strategies so you can crush it on YouTube for the next year and beyond. So I really, hope you just start exploring these and thinking about how this episode could be applied to your business. But B, if you're ready to really take these strategies and some of our other secrets and strategies that we've been testing at Think Media, get to growwithvideolive.com, because myself and the Think Media team cannot wait to hang out with you virtually in the #1 YouTube marketing event for entrepreneurs, growwithvideolive.com, that's coming up at the end of August.
So that was just a taste of what we're going to be teaching at this year's Grow with Video Live conference. We have so much packed into 2 days. We have different options for you, general admission, VIP, so many things happening. One reason that I love this conference is because it's interactive, it's fully immersive, and we can't wait to see you this year. We are going to be teaching on new YouTube strategies, how to make income off of YouTube. We're going to be interviewing some people who have gotten to 100,000 subscribers on their journey to that, and so much more. So make sure you lock in your tickets at growwithvideolive.com and attend with a friend. What I love about this conference is that we're going to be having so many ways that you can be interacting with content creators from around the world and next door. Next door? I don't know. Do you live next door to your best friend? I wish I did. So make sure you get your tickets at growwithvideolive.com. And if you're new to this podcast, one of my favorite things to do on every single podcast is read your reviews. It brings me so much joy to be able to get to read your reviews and see how this podcast is impacting your YouTube journey. On Think Media, our main channel, we go deep into tech and editing and gear and all the things that you need to to make YouTube videos. But here on the podcast, we get to go deeper. We get to talk in more about the mindset and the psychology around being a content creator. And so I love this review from Becca over on Apple Podcasts. She says, "Don't miss out on this valuable must listen. Every Tuesday morning after I do my morning Bible study, I immediately listen to the Think Media podcast." Well, she said Think Marketing podcast, but we did a little name change. Nothing to worry about. Which means it's the second thing I do every Tuesday. And that's been my schedule for almost a year now. A few things to know. First, if you're involved in entrepreneurship, online content creation, or any combination of these related to starting, growing, or thriving as a purpose-driven mission leader, you need to listen to this podcast. Not just want, but need. Next, the information shared in the way it is shared by Sean, Heather, and any and all other members of the Think team or guests who come on for interviews is extremely accessible and implementable. That's a fun word. Almost immediately after every episode, but also uniquely valuable. Becca, I wish I could hug you right now. I love this comment so much because it really is the heart and mission behind this podcast. Thank you so much for being one of our Tuesday ritual podcast listeners. You can hashtag that on social media. And I'm just grateful that you are a part of our Think Media team or Think Media community and that you left that review for the podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't left your review yet, you can do that over on Apple Podcasts. Rate and review this so that other people know how good this podcast is. No, that's kind of a brag, but really, so that other people can see if this podcast is right for them. Well, thank you so much for being a part of our community. Thank you for leaning in. Thank you for being a content creator that takes action. One of my favorite things to do is to see your videos succeeding. And I'm so grateful that you are a part of our community and that you're sharing this out on social so that I can see what's up in your neck of the woods. Thanks for being a part of what we're doing here at Think, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Not growing on YouTube? Learn the newest strategies for getting views and the best proven ways to make money at Grow with Video Live, a 2-day virtual conference, and you can get your tickets today at growwithvideolive.com.